The so-called psychotically depressed person who tries to kill herself doesn't do so out of, quote, hopelessness, or any abstract conviction that life's assets and debits don't square. And surely not because death seems suddenly appealing. The person in whom its invisible agony reaches a durable level will kill herself the same way a trapped person will eventually jump from the window of a burning high-rise. Make no mistake about people who leap from burning windows. Their terror of falling from a great height is still just as great as it would be for you or me standing speculatively at the same window just checking out the view. I.e., the fear of falling remains a constant. The variable here is the other terror, the fire's flames. When the flames get close enough, falling to death becomes the slightly less terrible of the two terrors. It's not desiring the fall, it's terror of the flames. And yet nobody down on the sidewalk looking up and yelling "don't" and "hang on" can understand the jump. Not really. You'd have to have personally been trapped and felt flames to really understand the terror way beyond falling.
Hi, and you're Catherine Gauntlet.
That's me.
Do you mind telling me why exactly you're in here? Do you remember everything?
I took 100 Parnate, some old lithanate capsules, 30 paracetamol. I took everything I had in the world.
You really must have wanted to hurt yourself, it seems.
They said downstairs that the Parnate made me black out. He did a blood pressure thing. My mum said she heard noises and found me upstairs, lying on my side, chewing the carpet in my room. My room's shag carpeted. She said she found me flushed or red and wet, like when I was a newborn. She thought she was hallucinating me as a newborn again. All red and wet.
A hypertensive crisis will do that. It means that your blood pressure was high enough to have killed you. A combination of sertraline and MAOI will kill you in enough quantities. With the toxicity of that much lithium, besides, I'd say you're pretty lucky to be here right now.
My mum sometimes thinks she's hallucinating.
Sertraline, by the way, is in the Zoloft that you kept instead of discarding as instructed and changing medications.
She said I chewed a huge hole out of the carpet, but who can say?
Why did you want to kill yourself, Catherine? Had you been angry at someone? Were you angry with yourself? Does it feel like there is no meaning to it? Do you get voices sometimes that suggest you to kill yourself? Do you think our conversation might go smoother if you sat up a little? Just so we can speak normally face to face.
I am sitting up.
Do you mean to say that you feel as if your body is already in a sitting up position?
I didn't want to hurt myself. I wanted to kill myself. There's a difference.
Can you explain what you feel is the difference between wanting to hurt yourself and killing yourself?
Do you guys see different types of suicides? I think there must be different types of suicides. I'm not one of the self-hating types. The like, oh, poor me, I'm so shit, the world will be so better off without me type that says that and then also imagines what everybody will say at their funeral. I met types like that on walls. Poor me, hate me, punish me, come to my funeral. And they show you a picture of their dead cat. It's all self-pity bullshit. It's bullshit. I didn't have any special grudges. I didn't fail an exam or get dumped by anybody. All these types hurt themselves. I didn't want to especially hurt myself or like punish. I don't hate myself. I just wanted out. I didn't want to play anymore. I just wanted to stop being conscious. I'm a whole different type. I just wanted the feeling to go away.
So this feeling that you're trying to stop feeling by dying then is...
The feeling is why I want to. The feeling is what makes me want to die. I'm here because I want to die. It's why I'm in a room with no windows and cages over the light bulbs, no lock on the toilet door. That's why they took away my belt and my shoelaces. And but I noticed they don't take away the feeling, do they?
Is this feeling that you're experiencing something that has occurred during prior depressions? What I'm trying to ask, I think, is if this feeling that you're communicating is the feeling that you associate with your depressions.
That's what you want to call it, I guess.
I'm more interested in what you would call it, since it is yours.
When people call it that, I always get pissed off. Because it's like, they make depression sound like you just get all sad and melancholy. Like you just sit by a window and sigh all day, or just lying around or whatever. A state of not caring about anything. Kind of blue, kind of peaceful state. This isn't a state. This is a feeling. I feel it all over, in my arms, in my legs.
So your hands and feet?
All over. It's in my head, in my throat, my stomach, my butt. It's in my stomach. It's all over, everywhere. I don't know what I would call it, because it's like I can't get outside of myself enough to call it anything. It's like horror more than sadness.
So, you'd say anxiety is a big part of your depression?
Everything gets horrible. Then everything gets ugly. It's like harsh sounding. Almost like everything gets spiny and harsh. As if all of a sudden every sound you hear has teeth. And smelling bad, even though I just got out of the shower. And it's like, what's the point of washing if after every shower it's just gonna smell like I need another shower? I fear this more than anything. More than pain, or my mum dying, environmental decay, anything.
Fear is a major part of anxiety.
Listen, have you ever felt sick? Like nauseous, like you wanted to throw up? Okay, but that's just in your stomach. It's a horrible feeling, but it's just in your stomach. What I told Dr. Garson once is okay, but Imagine that feeling it all over everything, inside, all through you. And it's like every cell, every brain cell, every atom or whatever, all of a sudden feels nauseous and it needs to throw up, but you can't. And you're sure, you're positive that this feeling is never going to go away. You're going to spend the rest of your natural life feeling like this.
And yet this nauseated feeling has come and gone through in the past. Has it not, Catherine?
When you're in the feeling, you forget. It's like, the feeling is like, it's been there, it's always been there, and it always will be there, and you forget. It's like this whole veil drops over everything you think, and the way of thinking, and it's just like after a couple of weeks.
I'm sorry. A couple of weeks after...
Do you know me? Did I introduce myself to you when I came in? Sorry, I'm rather distracted.
You did not introduce yourself, but I did have the pleasure of seeing you once at the monastery 4 years ago, perchance.
I wasn't in the monastery 4 years ago. I was only there as a little child before you ever worked there. You weren't there at all.
Perhaps you have forgotten.
No, I haven't forgotten. It would be bizarre if I had. Perhaps you simply heard about me and formed some idea, and so confused that with seeing me. I can only think that you are not well today. I think it would be better if I leave.
Yes, today, and I was feeling severe pain in my legs. And last night I didn't really get as much sleep as I would have liked.
Have you been watching me?
I was looking at you, trying to recall your mother's features.
For all the lack of external resemblance, there is much inwardly and spiritually.
No resemblance at all, especially spiritually. None whatsoever. You're just saying that out of sympathy for my position. Does my mother come to see you?
She does.
I didn't know. Never heard it from her. Often?
Almost every month, sometimes more frequently.
I never knew. And you have heard from her that I am crazy?
No, not that you're crazy.
I have heard this of others, however.
You must have an excellent memory to recall such trifles. And have you heard that I am violent?
I have heard something or other.
You've heard everything then. You have had an awful lot of spare time. And about the fight?
And about the fact.
Huh. You've heard everything then. No need for newspapers. I decidedly do not know why I've come here.
You too seem to be unwell?
Yes, unwell. This is all rubbish. I'll go to a doctor.
You certainly should.
You say so affirmatively. Have you seen such people as I, with such visions?
I have, but very rarely. I remember only one such in my life, an army officer who lost his wife, an irreplaceable life companion for him. The other I only heard about. They were both here abroad.
How long have you been subject to this?
About a year. But it's all rubbish, terrible rubbish. I'll go to a doctor. It's I myself in various aspects and nothing more. And since I've just added this sentence, you must be thinking that I'm still doubtful. And I'm not certain that it's I, and not actually a demon.
And have you seen him? Have you actually seen some sort of image?
It's strange that you should insist on it when I've already told you I do. Of course I see him, just as I see you. And sometimes I see him, and I'm not sure I see him, though I do see him. And sometimes I don't know what's true, he or I. It's all rubbish. And you? Can't you somehow suppose that it's actually a demon? Wouldn't that be more in line with your profession?
Well, it's more likely an illness. Although
What?
well, demons undoubtedly exist, but the understanding of them can vary greatly.
You lowered your eyes to me just now. You were ashamed for me. That I believe in the demon. And yet, in the guise of not believing, I slyly asked you the question. Does he, or does he not, actually exist? And you know, lowering your eyes is totally unbecoming to you. Unnatural, ridiculous and affected. And to give satisfaction to my rudeness, I will tell you seriously and brazenly. I believe in the demon. I believe canonically in a personal demon, not an allegory. And I have no need to elicit anything from anyone. There you have it. You must be terribly glad. Do you believe in God?
I do.
It is said that if you believe and ask a mountain to move, it will move. It's rubbish, but I'm curious. Could you move a mountain or not?
If God told me to, I could.
Well, that's the same as if God moved it himself. No, you. You as a reward for your belief in God.
Perhaps not.
No, perhaps. That's not bad. And why do you doubt?
I don't believe perfectly.
What? You? Not perfectly? Not fully?
Yes.
Perhaps not to perfection.
You still believe that with God's help you could move the mountain? And that's no small thing. No, it's certainly more than the type of a certain archbishop under the sword. It's true. You are, of course, a Christian too.
Let me not be ashamed of thy cross, O Lord.
And is it possible to believe in a demon without believing at all in God?
Oh yes, it happens all the time.
And I'm sure you find such faith more respectable than total atheism.
Cleric. On the contrary, total atheism is more respectable than worldly indifference.
So that's how you are.
A complete atheist stands on the next to last upper step to the most complete faith, apart from fear.
However, you have read the Apocalypse?
I have.
Do you remember Revelation 3:14? To the angels of the church in Laodicea write.
I do. Lovely words.
Lovely. A strange expression for a bishop. And generally you are odd. Where is the book? I'd like to read it to you.
I know it. I know the passage. I remember it very well.
You know it by heart. Recite it.
And unto the angel of the church of the Laodiceans write,
These things saith the Amen, the faithful and true witness.
the beginning of the creation of God. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would thou art cold or hot.
So then thou art lukewarm, and neither cold nor hot. I will spouse thee out of my mouth.
Because thou sayest, I am rich and increased with goodness, and have need of nothing, and knowest not that thou art wretched and miserable and poor
Enough.
and blind.
It's for the middling sort. For the indifferent ones, right? You know, I love you very much.
And are you?
Don't be angry.
How could you tell I was angry? What made you so precisely sure I was bound to get angry? Yes, I was angry, you're right. And precisely for having said I love you. You're right, but you're a crude cynic. Your thoughts are humiliating to human nature. There might be no anger if there was another man and not me. But the point isn't about this other one. It's about me. Anyhow, you're an odd man and a holy fool. Listen, I don't like spies and psychologists. At least those who try to pry into my soul. I don't invite anyone into my soul. I don't need anyone. I'm able to manage by myself. You think I'm afraid of you. You are fully convinced that I've come to reveal some dreadful secret to you. And you're waiting for it with all the monkish curiosity you're capable of. Well, know then that I shall never reveal anything to you. No secret. Because I don't need you at all.
You are stuck, but the lamb loves the cold one better than the merely lukewarm one.
Do you not want to be merely lukewarm?
I feel that you are in the grip of an extraordinary intention, perhaps a terrible one.
If so, I implore you, tell me everything that you've come with. Do not torment yourself.
And you knew for certain that I had come with something?
I guessed it from your face.
These pages are intended for distribution. If at least one man reads them, then you should know that I shall not conceal them, and everyone will read them. That is decided. I don't need you at all, because I've decided everything. But read them. While you're reading, don't say anything. And when you've finished, say everything.
Shall I read it?
Read it. I've long been at peace.
I want shock. Isn't part of the whole concern, kindness deal that you're meant to ask me how I think you guys can be of help? Because I've been through this before. You haven't asked me what I want. Isn't it? Either give me ECT or give me my belt back, because I can't stand feeling like this for another second. And the seconds just keep coming on and on.
Well, I'm happy to discuss treatment options with you, Catherine. But I have to say right now, I'm curious about what you started.
It sounded like to me to maybe start to indicate what might have occurred, something, 2 weeks ago, to have you feel in this way. Would you feel comfortable talking to me about that?
Either give me ECT or sedate me for a month. You could do that. That's all I think I'd really need, a month. Just a really long coma. You could do that if you guys actually wanted to help. I was thinking I was about to say you'll think I'm crazy for telling you this. Then I remembered where I am. I used to think, sometimes, that maybe the feeling had something to do with hope.
Hope.
Bob.
Bob.
Yes, Bob Hope. Oh, Jesus, fuck's sake, what am I doing? Bob Hope. Dope. Skunk. Grass. Weed. Smoke. The dealers down where I used to buy it used to make you call it Bob Hope on the phone, so, you know, just in case somebody had accessed the line. You were supposed to call and ask, is Bob in town? And if they had some, they'd say, hope springs eternal, usually. It was like a code. Actually, there was this one kid who made you ask him to commit a crime. The dealers that stuck around for any length of time used to be more on the paranoid side. As if someone who actually knew enough would bother to access the line. They had this one kid that had like snakes in a tank.
So drugs then, you say you feel may be a factor?
Not drugs. You're gonna think I'm crazy. I have this thing with smoking.
Marijuana.
Marijuana. Most people consider it a minor substance. It's just a natural plant that makes you feel good, the way poison oak makes you itch. And if you say you're in trouble with hope, they'll just laugh. Because there are much worse drugs out there. Believe me, I know.
I'm not laughing at you, Catherine.
But I love it so much. Sometimes it's the centre of my life, and I know that's not good.
And I got told point blank not to smoke on the party because Dr. Garton said no one knew what certain combinations do yet, and it'd be like roulette. But after a while, I always think to myself that it's been a while and things will be different somehow this time if I do, even on the party. So I do again, I start again. I'll start out just doing like a couple of tokes after work to get me through dinner, because dinner with my mother and me is, well... But pretty soon after, while I'm in my room with the fan pointed out the window all night, doing one-hitters and exhaling at the fan to kill the smell. And I make her say I'm not there if anybody calls, and I lie about what I'm doing in there all night, even if she doesn't ask. Sometimes she asks and sometimes she doesn't. And then after a while I'm smoking joints at work. At breaks, going in the bathroom and standing on the toilet and blowing it out the window. There's this tiny window up high with the glass frosted, all filthy and cobwebby. And I hate having my face up next to it, but if I clean it off, I'm afraid Mrs. Diggs or somebody will be able to tell that somebody's been doing something up around the window. Standing there in my high heels on the rim of the toilet, brushing my teeth all the time and using up mouthwash by the bottleful. And switching my console to audio and always needing more water before I answer the console because my mouth's too dry to talk, especially on the party. The party makes my mouth dry anyways. And anyways, I quit. I do stop, I get sick of it. I don't like what it does to me. And I go back to work and work my ass off to build up and make up for the last couple of weeks and get a leg up on like building momentum for a whole new start, you know? And so, but then I quit. And a couple of weeks after I've smoked a lot and finally stopped and quit and gone back to really living, after a couple of weeks, this feeling always starts creeping in, waiting for the bus to go home after work, before supper. And I try to deny it, the feeling. I try to ignore it. Because I fear it more than anything.
This feeling you're describing, that starts creeping in.
But no matter how, it gets worse and worse. It's there more and more, this filter drops down, and after a couple of weeks, it's there all the time, and I'm completely inside of it. I'm in it. And I don't even want to smoke. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to go out or stay in. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to not do anything. All I want is for this feeling to just go away. But it doesn't. Part of this feeling is being willing to do whatever it takes to make it go away. Understand that. Anything. Do you understand? It's not about wanting to hurt myself. It's about wanting to not hurt.
So, this has happened in the past, prior to your other hospitalizations, then, Catherine?
Oh, just get me out of here. Do anything, I will do anything you want.
Have you ever discussed this connection between your cannabis use and your depressions with your regular therapist, Catherine?
Sure, got me out of this before. Straps. Nurses with little green bags on their feet. Anti-saliva injections, a rubber thing for your tongue. Distortion. It's just a bit of headaches. Everybody think it's really bad. I didn't mind it. I'll go willingly.
And might I be able to make some corrections in this document?
What for? I wrote it sincerely.
To touch up the style a little.
I forgot to warn you that all your words will be in vain. I will not put off my intention. Don't bother talking me out of it.
You did not forget to warn me of that earlier, before the reading.
Never mind. I'll tell you again. No matter how strong your objections, I will not put off my intention. Note that by this unfortunate phrase, or fortunate, think of it what you like, I am in no way inviting you to begin entreating me.
I would not be able to object or to entreat you, especially to give up your intention. This thought is a great thought, and there is no better way to express a Christian thought more fully. Repentance cannot go any further than the astonishing deed you're contemplating. If only...
If only what?
If only it is indeed a Christian thought, and indeed repentance.
These are fine points, it seems to me. Does it make any difference? I wrote it sincerely.
It is as if you are purposely wanting to betray yourself coarser than your heart would wish.
Betray? I tell you again, I was not betraying myself, and especially was not posturing.
This document comes straight from the wound of a mortally wounded heart. Do I understand that correctly? Yes, it is repentance and the natural need for it that have overcome you. And you have struck upon a great path, a path of an unheard sort. But it is as if you already hate beforehand all those who will read this and are challenging them to battle. If you are not ashamed to confess the crime, then why are you ashamed of repentance? Certain places are stylistically accentuated, as if you admire your own psychology and are seizing upon every little detail to astonish the reader with an unfeelingness that is not in you. What is that if not the proud challenge of a guilty man to his judge?
Is there any challenge? I eliminated all personal reasoning. Let's leave that. Instead, allow me to ask you a question. Here it is, already 5 minutes that we've been talking after that. And I don't see any expression of loathing or shame in you. You're not squeamish, it seems.
That is, you wish I'd quickly voice my contempt for you. As for the crime, there are many people who sin in the same way and live in peace and quiet with their conscience, even regarding it as one of the inevitable trespasses of youth. There are old men who sin in the same way, contentedly and playfully. The whole world is filled with all of these horrors. But you have felt the full extent of it, something which rarely happens in the same way.
You haven't taken to respecting me after these pages.
To that I shall not respond directly, but of course there is not and cannot be any greater and more terrible crime than your act with the maiden.
That's great dancing around this. I'm somewhat surprised by your opinion about other people and the ordinariness of such a crime. Perhaps I haven't suffered nearly as much as I've written here, and perhaps I have been heaping too many lies on myself.
And if I may ask, the girl with whom you broke off with in Switzerland, where is she now?
Here. Perhaps I have been heaping lies on myself. What of it? If I'm challenging the confession with the coarseness of my words, since you did believe the challenge, I'll make them hate me even more. That's all. And so much easier for me.
That is, their hatred will evoke yours. And in hating, will you be able to accept their pity?
You're right. I may as well be called a Jesuit, a pious hypocrite. Right?
Of course there'll be such an opinion. And how soon do you hope to carry out this intention?
Today, tomorrow, after. How should I know? Only very soon. I think what's precisely going to happen is I'll make the pages public, unexpectedly, and at some vengeful, hateful moment, when I'm hating them most of all.
Answer me this one question, sincerely, for me alone. If someone was to forgive you for that, let's say a stranger, and not someone who you respect or fear, a man you will never know, silently reading your terrible confession, would this thought make it easier for you, or would it make no difference?
Easier. If you were to forgive me.
Will you be able to forgive me as well?
What for? What have you done to me? Yeah, I'm honest with you.
For my sins, both voluntary and involuntary. In sinning, each man sins against all. And each man is partly guilty for another man's sin. And I am a great sinner. Perhaps more than you are.
I'll tell you the whole truth. I want you to forgive me, and another with you, and maybe a third, but the rest had better hate me. But I wish it in order to endure with humility.
And in universal pity you would not be able to endure with the same humility? I feel the degree of your sincerity, and of course I'm much to blame for how I am not able to approach people. That has always been one of my greatest failures. But that is because I fear for you and the impassable abyss before you.
That I won't be able to endure. That I won't be able to endure their hatred with humility.
Not only their hatred.
What else?
Their laughter.
Do you think cavemen got depressed?
You mean clinically?
I mean, like, I've been thinking about all of this thinking. Like right now, you and me here, we're thinking, and I assume you're trying to analyze me and figure out whatever it is that's going to take away my feeling. But cavemen didn't have to think about that. They were just concerned with surviving, yet they're still people. Homo sapiens, they were still like us. Or were their brains different?
Do you think you have a tendency to sometimes, say, overlook your own depression? It can be very easy to diminish the importance of one's own experiences by comparing them to anything else.
By what? By saying that this is bullshit? It is. It's all bullshit.
But your feeling is entirely real.
Yeah, but would it still be there if I didn't have this? If my only care, and I don't mean by choice, were to hunt and eat, would I still live this privileged life that means I can overthink things? I mean, fuck, people actually have nothing and I just sit and complain. It would make more sense, given all that, to just end it.
The suffering, the poverty of others must not play a factor by which you define your own feelings, Catherine. Your feeling is real.
Others' suffering does not define your own depression.
Can it not be too easy to overanalyze things that are abstract from yourself?
Then take this away from me, end this feeling.
That is why you are here, to work on that exact.
Yeah, but I don't want to work. I can't work. I want it gone. You don't fucking understand, do you? There is a way out. And you all just take that away from me. There is an easy way out. I have tried it many fucking times, and yet you insist on taking this unproven, unsuccessful way out. Why?
Would you want others, say a close friend perhaps, to do the same? To just end it?
We put too much value on human life. We're not special. I just don't get why you lot won't fucking let me. Who on earth puts so much importance on human life? And why? Like, suicide is illegal. Who made that decision? Why don't I have the right to decide how long I live for? People are alcoholics and drug addicts, obsessed with sport or something, and it either ruins them or they become so withdrawn from reality without it, or even with it, that it ends up killing them. But because it's so indirect, it doesn't count legally, formally, as a suicide. We have such a minute understanding of what a person is. Nothing else fucking matters. They commit suicide. I'm just upfront about it. I don't have some superficial guise masking my depression anymore. I just want to die. I don't even have some legitimate other problem. I'm not smoking. Yet, all you see is a depressed little girl asking for help. That is all you see.
I don't think you've considered everything here, Catherine. People, alcoholics with real lives, as you put it, do try to seek help. They go to rehab, not entirely unlike yourself.
When their external cover is removed, people often find that there was nothing to hide from in the first place, or that they had forgotten.
Or ultimately they confront it.
They're just bad at hiding it then. I can't hide anymore! Fucking heroin users seem to get more respect than the mentally ill. Because there is that external thing that is the problem, not them, the real person. People don't understand mental illness. We're not liked. We don't like ourselves. And addiction stems from it, yes, but at least there's legitimate grounds behind it. But smoking even a cigarette? Now that's fucking cool. The person in that film who looks so suave, smoking or whatever, they're killing themselves, but at least they're looking hot doing it.
Did you ever think about what others would think, your close ones, if you were to commit suicide?
People always say this. Oh, think about how selfish you're being. As if the pain that they would feel at my death somehow outweighs the pain that I'm trying to escape.
But is their pain not legitimate? Is it not a horrid, inescapable feeling for them too?
Obviously there's no... Of course I can't measure how I feel against how they feel. But I am suffering here. And I don't have the mental strength I believe they do. People get over things, over stuff. They get over the arbitrary sadness of the world. I can't get over this feeling. Even if I leave here better, it will never go away. It's not so simple as just cure your depression, stop being sad. I cannot cure something that is so intrinsically tied to myself. An integral part of my being is damaged. That doesn't go away. I can't get over that. But people do get over death.
I anticipated that. So then, I appeared as a very comical character to you upon reading my manuscript, in spite of the whole tragedy. Don't worry. Don't be put out. I did anticipate it.
There will be horror on all sides, but of course more false than sincere. People fear only what directly threatens their personal interests. I'm not talking of the peer people, of course. They will be horrified and will only blame themselves. But they will not be noticeable. The laughter, however, will be universal.
Add to that the thinker's observation that there is always something pleasing in another man's calamity.
A correct thought.
You, however, I'm surprised at how badly you think of people, with loathing.
And yet, you believe me. I was saying it more about myself.
Really? Can there be at least something in you that finds amusement here, in my calamity?
Who knows? Perhaps there is.
Enough. Show me then precisely what makes me so ridiculous in my manuscript. I know what, but I want you to point your finger to it and say it nice and cynically. Say it with all the sincerity you're capable of.
Even the form of this truly great repentance has something ridiculous in it. Do not believe that you will not win. Even this form will win, if only you sincerely accept the beating and the spitting. In the end, it has always been that the most disgraceful cross has become a great glory and a great power, if the humility of the deed is sincere. It may even be that you will be comforted in your own lifetime.
So, in the form alone, in the style, you find something ridiculous.
And in the essence, The uncomeliness will kill it.
What, sir? Uncomeliness? The uncomeliness of what?
Of the crime. There are crimes that are truly uncomely. With crimes, whatever they may be, the more horror there is, the more blood, the more picturesque. There are crimes that are shameful, disgraceful, even far too ungracious.
That is, you found I made quite a ridiculous figure when I was kissing the dirty little girl's foot. And all that I said about my temperament and all the rest, I understand. I understand you very well. And your despair of me, precisely because it is uncomely. It is vile. Not vile, but shameful and ridiculous. And it's this, rather than anything else, that you think I won't be able to endure. Yes, you do know people. That is, you know that precisely I, will not be able to endure. I understand why you asked about the young lady from Switzerland, whether she was here.
You're not prepared, not tempered.
Listen, Father Tikhon. I want to forgive myself. That is my chief goal, my whole goal. I know that only then will the apparition vanish. That is why I am seeking boundless suffering, seeking it myself. So do not frighten me.
If you can forgive yourself and can attain to forgiveness in this world, then you have everything. So how is it then that you say you don't believe in God? God will forgive your unbelief, for you venerate the Holy Spirit without him.
Christ, incidentally, will not forgive. For it is said in the book, who shall offend one of these little ones? Remember? According to gospel, there is not and cannot be any greater crime. It's in the book.
I have glad tidings for you about that. Christ too will forgive, if you can forgive yourself. Do not believe that I've spoken blasphemy. Oh no. Even if you were not able to attain reconciliation with yourself and forgiveness of yourself, he will forgive you for your intention and for your great suffering. For there are no thoughts or words in all of human language to express all the ways and reasons of the Lamb, until his ways are revealed to us. For who can embrace him who is unembraceable? Who can grasp the whole of him who is infinite?
I'll come again sometime. You and I appreciate only too well the pleasure of the conversation and the honour in your feelings. I understand why there are some who love you so. I, as your prayers to him, whom you love so much.
And you're leaving already? I was about to present you with a request of my own, but I don't know how. Now I'm afraid.
Kindly do.
My whole request is this. Now you must admit, Nikolai Zavolotovich, that if you were to publish these pages, you would spoil your fate. In the sense of a career.
Or in the sense of all the rest.
Career?
Why spoil it? Why, as it seems, such inflexibility? I've already asked you, and will ask you again. Your words will be superfluous. And our talk is beginning to become unbearable also. You do not understand me. Hear me out and don't be annoyed. Now, you already know my opinion. Your deed, if done in humility, would be the greatest Christian deed, if you could endure it. Even if you weren't able to endure it, however, the Lord will count your initial sacrifice. Everything will be counted. Not a half thought, not a movement of the soul, not a word will be in vain. But I am offering, instead of this deed, another one, something unquestionably great. You have a grip on a desire for martyrdom and self-sacrifice. Conquer this desire as well. Set aside your pages and your intention, and then you will be able to overcome everything. Put to shame your pride and your demon. You will win. You will attain freedom.
You quite simply want to avoid a scandal. And you are setting a trap for me, good Father Tikhon. In short, you would like me to settle down, perhaps get married, and end my life as a member of the local club, visiting your monastery on every feast day. What a penance. Although, being a reader of human hearts, you may even foresee that this will undoubtedly be so. And the only thing now is to beg me, nicely, for the sake of decency, since this is what I myself am longing for. Right?
I once had a patient. You know, of course, I'm not at liberty to discuss the details of this, Catherine.
I know what doctor-patient confidentiality is.
But I had a patient. He was a Swiss boy with ambitions to become a great violinist. Also an alcoholic who, along with many of his friends, lost his legs tragically in a train crash. He once told me a story of saving a life.
Must have been an awful train crash. It's not one of those hit rock bottom, ingest booze once again, which startles him into a crazed state and then saves a life. And that he thought it was the grace of God, and he looked into the light, and the Lord said, "Is it?"
He says to me of invasions. It is to the side, but for my Swiss friends and myself, without legs, it is a dark period of injustice and dishonor and a terrible pain. Some of my friends roll themselves off to fight the invasion, but me, I'm too painful to care enough to fight. The fight seems without point. Our own Swiss leaders have been subverted to pretend the invasion is alliance. We very few legless young cannot repel an invasion. We cannot even make our government admit that there is an invasion. I am weak and in pain and see all is pointless. I do not see the meaning of choosing to fight.
Sounds like he's depressed.
But he found the light, Catherine, your analogy.
Great. His self-authorized, self-indulgent, epiphanic moment cured him then.
You yourself said that one cannot cure depression.
Fine, he found a way to care, or whatever. He looked outside himself and in saving another, thus saved himself. Wow.
I do not seek to impress you, Catherine. You are obviously far too intellectually capable. The point of my little parable, so to speak, was that if one is so inclined, like this Swiss boy with great musical capacity, one can try.
What is my great capacity, Doctor? I'm a drug addict, a degenerate, useless. I don't mean that as self-pity, I mean that as the truth. Why must we strive for greatness
in life? Have ambitions? Why must we have a life? I know I wanted it once. I tried. Didn't work out. So what? Game over.
Because that great scholar, that artist, that intellectual, that progenitor of life can begin to help others. They thusly then heal themselves.
What the fuck are you on about, Doctor?
You, more than anything, have demonstrated a capacity for the analytical. You can do what almost no one else can do. That is, you can find glimpses of yourself outside of your status as a human.
I try to solve my own situations, Doc. It doesn't work. You know, that's what pisses me off the most about all this, is that I can see it and do nothing.
Because you are human. I cannot expect to psychoanalyze myself. Can I, Catherine? That would be dangerous, no?
Are you seriously suggesting that I pursue some sort of career in this? Doc, I don't even want to live.
You can train, you can learn, you can help. Because you can see outside of yourself. And so you can really see. You can study, Catherine. It may even be so that you live entirely outside in the world.
Stop it, Doctor. What are you doing? What the fuck is wrong with you? I can't even help myself. Is that not the first step? Jesus.
I see that your intellect, your deepest fathoms of self, have never stood so close to reality.
What the fuck are you on about?
You're bright. Think on it further, please. It's never any help.
No, not that penance. I'm preparing a different one. I know an elder, not here but not far from here, a hermit and a monk, and of such Christian wisdom as you and I cannot even understand. He will heed my request. I will tell him all about you. Put yourself under a beating stain for some 5 or 7 years, for as long as you yourself find necessary afterwards. Make a vow to yourself of a great sacrifice that you will have everything that you long for, and even what you do not expect, for you cannot understand now what you will receive.
You quite simply want for me to be a monk in that monastery. Though I respect you, that is precisely what I expected. Well, I shall even admit to you that the thought has crossed my mind in moments of faint-heartedness. To hide away, at least for a time, after I make these pages public. But I immediately blushed at such. To take monastic vows, that never entered my head, even in moments of the most faint-hearted fear.
You need not be in a monastery. You needn't take vows. You can be a novice secretly, inapparently, It may even be so that you can live entirely out in the world.
Stop it, Father Tikhon. What's wrong with you? What's the matter with you? What's the matter with you? What's the matter? What's the matter? What's the matter?
I see as in reality, you, poor lost youth, have never stood so close as at this moment.
I messed up with stuff. You're right. I won't be able to endure. And in my spite, I'll commit a new crime. Fuck, you're right. I'll put it off.
No, not after, but before the publications of the pages. A day, maybe an hour before the great step, you will throw yourself into a new crime and use crime as a way out, only to avoid publishing those pages.
Cursed psychologist.